Okay, let's unpack this. You ever feel like you're just staring at this mountain of information in a certain field,
Oh, definitely.
and you just wish you had a way to, like, instantly pull out the crucial stuff?
Yeah, like a mental shortcut.
Exactly. A shortcut to becoming, really knowledgeable. That's kind of what we're doing for you right now.
It's a universal feeling, I think. We're all trying to manage this information overload.
We are. So think of this as your express lane to understanding some really important concepts.
And the real trick is finding those foundational principles, the things everything else builds on.
Right. And today, our focus is getting that fundamental grasp through the lens of the IDPX exam.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're not familiar, that's a professional exam in the design and construction world. We've got a set of practice questions and their
Sounds a
explanations.
bit dry, maybe.
It might sound dry, but trust us, it's a gold mine.
Yeah, these questions are like little keys, really.
They are. Our mission isn't just to know the right answers. We want to dig into why they're right and what bigger knowledge that unlocks.
Exactly. Examining them closely gives you a surprisingly good overview of what's essential.
All right, let's jump into our first key then. Imagine a busy design meeting. Ideas flying, decisions happening with the client, the team.
Okay.
What's the best way to actually capture those decisions so everyone's on the same page later? Your options are like design development drawings, a programming report, meeting minutes, or the project manual.
Well, the answer, and what, experienced pros rely on, is meeting minutes.
Meeting minutes, okay, seems straightforward.
Uh-huh.
But the why behind it, that's where the learning is, right? It's about creating that official record.
Yeah, exactly. What was decided, who's doing what next, the action items, what everyone agreed on.
And that record is, well, it's incredibly valuable down the line, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Think about projects where people disagree later about what was decided. Good meeting minutes. They stop that.
Right. Prevents misunderstandings, keeps everyone aligned, stops those, wait, I thought we agreed on this moments.
Totally.
It's so key that the explanation links it right to project management, communication, and documentation.
Mhm.
It's a good reminder that keeping clear records isn't just admin hassle, it's fundamental.
It really is. Strong communication, clear documents. That's the bedrock of good project management. It builds trust, accountability,
Mm.
leads to better projects, basically.
Okay, good point. Let's look at key number 2. We're diving into the general conditions of a contract now.
Okay.
If you're reading that section, what kind of information are you most likely to find? Is it requirements for insurance and bonds?
Or maybe specific installation details.
Yeah, or detailed product spec sheets, or maybe even furniture finish codes.
Well, people in the field know that the general conditions section is primarily where you'll find requirements for things like insurance and bonds.
Interesting. Okay, so what do these general conditions cover, sort of in the big picture of a project?
Think of them as the rule book for the contract. They lay out the legal and administrative responsibilities for everyone involved.
Right.
So that includes necessary insurance, performance bonds, maybe guarantees, how you handle disputes, defining roles clearly, all that foundational stuff,
So the essential legal and procedural framework the whole project sits on.
pretty much.
And the explanation ties this to contract administration legal frameworks. Makes
Oh.
perfect sense, setting that solid legal groundwork before work starts.
And it raises a question, doesn't it? How often do people really dig into these conditions before signing off? They're critical for setting expectations and protecting everyone.
That's definitely something to think about. Okay, switching gears. Let's talk accessibility.
All right.
Question 3 asks, what specific code requirement makes sure people with disabilities can use doors without needing, a tight grip or pinching or twisting their wrist?
Mhm.
Options are NFPA Life Safety Code, ADA Accessibility Guidelines, ANSI-BEFMA standards, or IBC egress requirements.
And the one that covers this specific need is found in the ADA Accessibility Guidelines.
The ADA, making sure design works for everyone. So what's the exact rule here that stops those awkward door handles?
The guidelines are pretty specific. They say door hardware has to be operable with one hand and without needing tight grasping, pinching, or twisting your wrist.
Seems like a small detail, maybe.
It might seem small, but it makes a huge difference for independence and just using a space if you have certain disabilities.
Absolutely. Really shows how thoughtful design thinks about a wide range of abilities.
Yeah.
The explanation connects this to code's accessibility compliance. Reminds us these aren't just, nice ideas. They're legal requirements for inclusive environments.
And what's interesting is the level of detail. It's not just big stuff. It's these everyday interactions with a building.
Okay, moving to a different phase, the very end of construction.
Right.
Question 4. When a designer does a punch list, what's their main goal? Is it estimating final costs, identifying construction deficiencies, scheduling subs to finish up, or double-checking equipment sizes?
The main goal, the primary purpose of that punch list is to systematically identify construction deficiencies.
Punch list. Sounds like catching mistakes, basically.
That's a good way to put it.
So when does this happen and why is it so important?
It usually happens right near the end of construction. It's a detailed list of anything incomplete or done wrong or just not up to the standard in the contract docs.
Okay.
It's like a final checklist. Make sure the contractor fixes everything before they get that final payment and the project's officially done.
So the last safety net, really, to catch errors or unfinished bits before sign-off.
Exactly.
And the explanation links this to contract administration project closeout. Makes sense, highlighting those crucial final steps.
Yeah, without a good punch list process, you risk problems just lingering, which can cause disputes, delays. You don't want that.
Definitely not. Okay, fifth key, back to the construction site. Who's mainly responsible for making sure all the subcontractors are coordinated?
Right. Who hurts the cats?
Yeah. Is it the designer? The client?
Yeah.
The general contractor overseeing the build? Or maybe a separate project manager?
Well, standard practice, and what our source confirms, is that the general contractor, the GC, has that primary responsibility.
That seems logical. They're managing the day-to-day on-site, the schedule.
Exactly. The GC is in charge of the whole site. That means developing the schedule, sticking to it, making sure the electricians, plumbers, carpenters, everyone, all the different subs were working together efficiently, hitting the timeline, staying on budget. That coordination is key.
And the explanation connects this to project management roles and team dynamics, underscores how vital clear responsibilities are.
For sure. Knowing who does what avoids confusion, keeps things moving.
But you need teamwork too, right?
Oh, absolutely. While the GC leads coordination, the best projects have great communication between everyone, designers, subs, GC, client.
True. Okay, let's visualize some complexity now. Construction documents.
Fun stuff.
Question 6 asks, which drawing is best for showing how things like lighting, HVAC, sprinklers all work together, how they relate up in the ceiling? Are we looking at a floor finish plan, reflected ceiling plan, power and communication plan, or a demolition plan?
The drawing that really shows those relationships clearly is the reflected ceiling plan, often just called an RCP.
RCP, reflected ceiling plan. Sounds a bit technical. What does it actually show you? Why is it so good for coordinating these systems?
Okay, imagine you're looking up at the ceiling, but it's laid out flat, like a floor plan.
Okay.
You see everything in or just above the ceiling. Light fixtures, HVAC vents or diffusers, sprinkler heads, even the ceiling grid itself.
Right.
Putting all that on one drawing makes it way easier to spot clashes, like, oops, that light's right where an air vent needs to go.
I see.
Let's make sure everything fits together properly before they build it.
So it's basically a coordination tool in drawing form.
That's a great way to think about it.
And the explanation links it to construction documents, technical drawings, highlighting the power of visual communication for complex stuff.
Exactly. A good RCP can save a lot of headaches and money during construction. Avoids rework.
Makes sense. Okay, next key takes us towards being environmentally conscious. Sustainability.
Good topic.
Question 7. If a designer wants to cut waste during an office renovation, promote sustainability, what's the best strategy from these options? Get rid of window treatments. Use modular carpet tiles. Specify only reclaimed wood for everything. Or avoid using metal studs.
Well, among those choices, the most effective one for reducing waste and boosting sustainability is probably using modular carpet tiles.
Modular carpet tiles, the square ones, right?
Yep, those ones.
How do they help with sustainability in a renovation?
The really big win is waste reduction. If one area gets stained or really worn out, you just replace that one tile or maybe a few tiles. You don't have to rip up a whole room of carpet.
Okay. That saves a lot of material going to landfill.
Huge difference over the life of the floor. Plus, many tiles now have recycled content, and they're often easier to install, sometimes with less adhesive.
Hey, targeted replacement beats a total overhaul. The explanation links this to sustainability materials and methods, shows a practical way to make greener choices.
It's a perfect example. The materials we choose have a direct, measurable impact on the project's footprint.
Definitely. Now, how do we know if a design actually works after it's built and people are using it?
Good question. The follow-up.
Yeah. Question 8. In post-occupancy evaluations, POEs, what's the designer most likely assessing? Is it like equipment depreciation, user satisfaction and functionality,
Hmm.
contractor warranties, or project delivery logistics?
The main focus, almost always for a POE, is user satisfaction and how well the space actually functions for the people in it.
User satisfaction and functionality. That feels like the most direct way to judge success, right?
Absolutely.
So tell us more about what goes into these POEs.
Well, a POE is a systematic look at a building or space after it's been occupied for a while. The goal is to figure out how well the design actually meets the needs of the users. You look at comfort, usability, does it support the activities it's supposed to, and just are people generally happy with it?
Provide valuable feedback then.
Hugely valuable for the designers, for the client, for future projects.
So, learning from real-world use to make future designs better, the explanation connects it to evaluation performance assessment. Highlights that feedback loop.
Exactly. POEs help us move towards more evidence-based, user-centered design. What actually works?
Right. Okay. Ninth key, the money side, cost estimating.
Always important.
What type of cost estimate is generally most appropriate by the end of schematic design? Are we talking an assembly cost estimate, rough square footage, a super detailed quantity takeoff, or like a unit cost for every little thing?
The estimate that usually hits the right balance of detail and accuracy at that schematic design stage is an assembly cost estimate.
Assembly cost estimate, how's that different? Why is it the right fit here?
Okay, so an assembly estimate breaks the project down into major systems or assemblies, like the foundation, the exterior walls as a system, the roof structure, interior finishes as a category.
Oh.
It gives you a more detailed cost picture than just saying, okay, it's X square feet, so it'll cost roughly Y.
Right, more granular than square footage.
Way more.
Hmm.
But it's not so detailed like a quantity takeoff where you'd count every single screw. That's too much for this early stage when the design's still evolving.
Gotcha. So it's the sweet spot between super general and overly specific.
That's a good way to put it.
The explanation links it to project management budget planning. Shows how cost understanding gets sharper as the design develops.
Yep. More detail in the design, more detail in the estimate. It evolves together.
Okay, our final key for today. Back to how codes influence design.
Right.
Question 10 asks, which factor most directly impacts how you arrange furniture in, say, a commercial lobby? Is it the wall finish, ceiling height, the calculated occupancy load, or the type of light fixtures?
The factor that's going to have the biggest, most direct impact on furniture layout there is the occupancy load.
Occupancy load, that's the max number of people allowed, right?
Correct.
How does that dictate where the sofas go?
Because the occupancy load directly determines your required egress paths,
Egress.
the escape route.
Exactly. Those clear, unobstructed routes people need to get out safely in an emergency. So your furniture layout has to respect those paths. You can't block them.
Ah, okay. Can't put a big couch right in front of the exit door path?
Pretty much, it's all about ensuring those pathways are clear and meet code. It's a life safety thing, fundamentally.
Makes perfect sense. Safety first. The explanation links this to codes, life safety, and egress. Shows how even furniture layout is tied directly to safety rules.
Yeah, it really hammers home that codes aren't just abstract rules. They have very real practical impacts on design and how we use spaces.
Yeah. We hope this dive gave you some valuable insights and maybe sparked that desire to learn even more.